You're listening to the Happy Tracks podcast. In this episode, we go deep into the connection between spirituality and self-love and how you can strengthen both. This episode is filled with a whole lot of love. Stay tuned. Hey, I'm Taylor, founder of the travel blog Taylor's Tracks, personal development junkie, and pursuer of happiness. I help women have breakthrough experiences so that you can live a happier and healthier life that is so good you won't need a vacation from it. I believe that happiness is an inside job, so this podcast is dedicated to delivering weekly actionable tips that combine spirituality, personal development, and well-being practices that will help you live your best life, find pure joy every day, and realize your true power. Are you ready to meet your best self? Let's get started. This is the Happy Tracks podcast. Hey beauties, and welcome to this week's episode. I think it is about time that we dive a little bit more into spirituality. I've been focusing a lot on personal development lately from really the beginning of this podcast, and I've touched on spirituality a bit, but I think it's time to look a little bit deeper into it, as well as self-love. And this episode talks about both because really both are so deeply connected with each other. And it was through spirituality that I really learned and understood, and I'm still on the journey of understanding how to truly love myself at a deep core level. Self-love is never something that you fully arrive at. It is something that you constantly work on, and though you have it, you're still working on it. You're still not always trying to improve. I don't want to use the word improve, but you're still focused on it. It's still there. You're still doing things to cultivate that self-love all the time. And I know, just hearing the word self-love is almost cliche these days because everyone seems to be talking about it. And there are different ways that a lot of people spin self-love. And while I think that they're all correct, I don't necessarily think that always focusing on the aspect of self-love being more determined or more devoted to yourself in the sense of working out and always moving and making stricter boundaries with yourself. While that is a form of self-love, absolutely, that's a little bit more of the harsher side. And it's not to say that self-love is harsh either. It's just there are so many aspects to self-love that I think everyone should incorporate all of into their lives. And yes, it's important to set boundaries, and yes, it's important to set boundaries with others and to be able to follow through on things and to have self-integrity. Those are all parts of self-love. But there's also the kindness and the compassion and the connection to spirituality, all these aspects of self-love. So that's what I'm going to talk on today, and I'm going to reveal a little bit more of some of my more woo practices, is what I like to call them. And if you've never heard of the word woo before, which I thought everyone knew, but apparently not, woo is like, not to describe the crazy stuff, but the stuff that's more kind of out there, where even at first when I was getting into spirituality and I would hear people talk about this stuff, I'm just like, come again? What? No. And I just thought it was too weird, and now I'm totally into it. So just come into this episode with an open mind. Lots of it is going to be fully grounded as well, and I promise you're going to finish listening to this episode and just feel a little bit lighter, a little bit more love and happy. It's not so much of a lecture and go develop this and go do this. It's more of a, here are some options and I think these work, and just go with what works for you. So love is one of the highest vibrations on the vibrational scale. So having self-love is an absolutely incredible feeling, and when you feel it for yourself, you really radiate it to other people. And love is something that I've been working on and completely dedicating myself through personal development courses as well as energy healing over the last 6 or so weeks. And I've really been focusing on, and damn, can I ever notice a difference? So if you take the time to really focus on this for yourself, you can really, it's really hard to describe the feeling, because love coming from someone else, you know what that feels like, but for yourself, it's like a whole nother level, and you can't stop smiling. If you're watching me on video right now, I've got a huge smile on my face, which I'm sure you can hear through my voice as well. And you just want to burst with so much love for everyone. It's an absolutely beautiful, such a beautiful feeling. But before we really dive in, I just wanted to read 2 definitions for you. One is of spirituality and one is of self-love, just so we start this episode going in with full knowledge and just a reminder of what exactly these things are. Because especially with spirituality, I think a lot of the times people get confused with what it is, and they're just like, oh, spirituality is like religion, or it's like all that crazy stuff that all the hippies do. But really, the definition of spirituality is the quality of being concerned with the human spirit or soul as opposed to material or physical things. So it's not being concerned with your body, it's not being concerned with the things you wear, the things that you have, it's being concerned with who you are. Are you living to what your soul and your spirit wants you to be doing? Are you living out that life path? That's what spirituality is. And self-love is having regard for one's own well-being and happiness. So do you see how those two are very clearly connected? And sometimes that's easy to forget that. Quite a few weeks ago, I messaged a friend and I was like, hey, I really just need a pep talk. I'm feeling pretty down, I'm confused, and honestly, I just need someone to tell me how to love myself again. I just need a reminder. And she came back to me and she's like, when I'm having a difficult time with my self-love, I always return to spirituality. And it was those exact words that I needed to hear. So of course I went and dived into that, and now I'm here feeling better than ever. So spirituality can definitely be woo. It can definitely seem a little bit crazy at times, but it doesn't always have to be. So I wanted to share some practices that I do to help connect spirituality and self-love for myself. So one that I've picked up more recently, just because I've been getting so many signs of this is what I need to pay attention to, this is what I need to be doing, is speaking to my angels. And I am no angel expert at all, but over the last half year, I'd say I'd be reading books, or I would have intuitive readings, or I would be in courses, and people kept mentioning to pray to your angels. And I'm sitting there like, you want me to pray? I think I've prayed like 2 times in like really dark moments in my life. I did not grow up with a religious background whatsoever. And there was definitely a time where I was definitely very anti-religion. And though I've gone through that, praying to my angels or speaking to my angels just felt a little bit odd. But after getting all of these messages, I've realized that it's actually really a beautiful practice. It doesn't have to involve getting down on your knees. You don't have to put your hands in prayer, though I do, because having your hands in prayer, they're right by your heart, and that gives you a little bit more of a connection to yourself. And just saying, hey, you can Google some angels and find out who is the angel that you want to speak to, or you can do an intuitive reading or something and have someone tell you who's on your healing team, because your healing team is really your angels. And you can choose who you want to speak to and just be like, hey, so-and-so, or healing team or angels, I could really help, or I could really use your guidance in blank. And just ask for what you need help on, ask for what you need healing on, and say thank you, say you're grateful, say that you love them. And without a fail, this never ever fails to bring a smile to my face and to bring a sense of wholeness and a deep feeling in my heart. A sense of self-love, knowing that I'm connected more to myself and to something else. And spirituality is really what allowed me to begin to love myself. And I really believe that this is the case for a lot of people, because a lot of the times it's easier to love something or someone else than it is yourself. And spirituality, really having what seems like these external things, seems like this higher power, is really just connected back to you. Spirituality is embracing love and your soul's path, and your soul, your spirit, all they ever want is love and enlightenment. So this is why both are so connected. So getting into spirituality is going to allow you to tap into your self-love more. And the more you get into your self-love, the more you get into your spirituality, and it's beautiful. So another thing that you can do is using sage and Palo Santo, and both of these are said to extinguish or get rid of negative energies from your energetic field. So a lot of the times, I don't do this every morning, but I will sage and Palo Santo myself and say, please remove all dark spirits, negative energy and vibes, and anything that is not serving me or of my highest good from my energetic field. And I don't know if it actually works or not, but I feel great. I don't care if this shit works as long as I feel good. That's my whole take on spirituality. And I think it's a great one to take, because I'm not sitting and waiting for proof. If it feels good, I continue doing it. And so I encourage you to do that with these practices as well. If they seem woo, okay, try them. If you can't get into them, if you're not noticing anything, maybe you just need to believe in it, or maybe it's just not for you. Another thing is meditation. And meditation, I believe, with practice, can really bring you to whole other places. And by whole other places, I mean different dimensions, to a completely different level with your soul, like such a deep connection. I know this is all really hard to explain. It sounds kind of crazy, but it's really difficult to explain these intense feelings and connections without doing them yourself. So meditation is one such way to do that. I highly, highly, highly recommend Joe Dispenza's meditations. Some of them are like 45 minutes to an hour and a half long, which I know is a commitment, but wow, that's really all I have to say about them. They're absolutely incredible, and they bring you into this realm where it's just your spirit, or it's just your soul, and there's nothing there but goodness. Another thing, I know this is more material, but at the same time isn't really, and that's crystals. And I say it isn't really because crystals are really a part of the earth. I really believe that crystals help us feel more grounded and feel more connected to Mother Earth, which is always, always encouraged. And rose quartz specifically is the crystal of love. Of course, it's the one that I have most. I use it mostly for self-love. I have a facial roller that is rose quartz. I have a pleasure wand for masturbation that is rose quartz. I have a yoni egg that's rose quartz. Yeah, So what you can do with crystals, it doesn't have to be rose quartz, it can be whichever ones you want, but you can set an intention with your crystals and meditate with them. Or I have a friend who says that she loves to place them on her journal after she writes a letter to the universe, or I sometimes put them under my pillow at night after setting an intention on self-love and sleep like that. Another thing is, I say this all the time, is movement. And movement is definitely spiritual. And I want to be specific and say that you should do non-restricted movement, meaning ecstatic dance, yoga that is not just the same basic postures and not following a class, just flowing through what I like to call a free flow, just doing whatever feels natural to you. Doesn't mean you have to do the exact same thing on either side, or just dance, just shake, just whatever it is that feels good. This connects you to your body, and the more you connect to your body, which is really just a vessel that you're here to live in on this planet, the deeper and more connected you get to your body, I believe the deeper you connect to your soul as well. Another thing that I love to do as a part of my spiritual practice, and if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I do this every week, are card readings. And I'll do a single card reading for myself pretty much every day. I do one a week on Mondays on Instagram if you're interested. Or sometimes I'll do big card readings, so for the entire year, so one card per month and one card for the overall year. Or I'll do like 10 card spreads when I'm just not having a great day or really need help on a situation that I'm just feeling confused about and need a bit of direction. And I use animal spirit cards, tarot cards, and oracle cards. I'll link all three in the show notes so that you guys can check them out for yourself, because having these cards, oftentimes you'll flip a card and it will bring up something that, or trigger something in you, or a thought that you didn't necessarily think of because you were so busy distracting yourself with something else. And my oracle cards specifically are really connecting more to the soul, and they can bring up things that just you didn't realize you needed to listen to. And there's just something so special about them that really makes you think and kind of shift your perspective. Another thing you can do is asking for signs. This can be from your angels, like angel numbers. Angel numbers are digits like 111, 222, 333. And the more the number repeats, the stronger the message is. I mean, of course, angel numbers can be any sort of combination, but the ones that repeat are quite often the most common ones that people know about. You can also ask the universe for symbols or a specific number that you want. Mine is a specific flower, and when I see that, I know that I'm on the right track. So if you're asking for a symbol or for a sign, tell the universe, please show me this when I'm feeling down, or when I'm on the right direction, or whatever it is. Another thing you can do is mantras and affirmations. So just repeating the same thing to yourself always. I personally right now have 4 reminders in my phone that just say love more, and they go off at certain times during the day. And when they go off, because it goes off on my computer and on my phone, so I always see it, and I just go, okay, take a moment and just love myself more, just love life more. And usually it comes in the form of gratitude, like, wow, I'm so grateful for my life right now, or I'm so grateful for my body, I am so grateful for the people in my life. Whatever it is that makes you feel love, that is what you need to do. And my last 2, one is energy healing, and there are so many different types of energy healing. If you would like some recommendations, I have a few, and I can send you their info and kind of tell you which ones I think are best for what. Just send me a DM on Instagram at Taylor's Tracks, and we'd be happy to send you more info. And energy healing is really just releasing more of the low vibe emotions, because when you're feeling low vibe, you're not able to move up higher into the high vibe emotions, which is where love is. And lastly, one of my absolute favorite things to do, and something that I believe everyone should do every day, is grounding in nature. Again, like with the crystals, it's like connecting to Mother Earth, and we are a part of Earth. We are a part of this planet, of this ecosystem, and we're just all one, which your soul knows. You just need to remind your head of that sometimes. So these are just some of the spiritual practices that I do to help feel more connected to myself and to self-love. And your connection to yourself, to your soul, to your own love, I believe, is the greatest connection that you can work on. So while it's important to have those boundaries and be strict with yourself sometimes, it's also important to come back to the simple things, the things that may seem a little crazy or a little woo, but if they work for you, if they make you feel good, if they allow you to tap into your heart space, then girl, do whatever it is you got to do to feel that. I hope this episode served you, and that some of these practices you're able to take into your own life. I do a lot of these during my morning routine, but then a lot throughout the day as well. You can use them whenever it feels right for you. If you love this episode or think someone else would benefit from this message, please share and give me a tag if you share on social media at Taylor's Tracks. As always, you can find more information on my Instagram or on taylorstracks.com. Leave me a shiny 5-star review if you love this podcast. It absolutely means the world to me. And know that I am so grateful and appreciative of all of you who listen. And I only hope that I'm helping you grow. So remember that self-love and spirituality are connected. The more spiritual you become, the more you'll love yourself. The more you love yourself, the more spiritual you'll become. That's it for this week, beautiful souls. I'll see you next